Okay, we're down at the workshop today and we're looking at some of the plastics. Now the main paint's done, we've got the 4 wheel trims which need to be done. As you can see, they're pretty dirty. They mostly just need a clean up, but I'm probably going to give them a respray anyway, just because they're going to look a little bit minging. I don't really know what colour to do them. The wheels are going to be they're just steels, so they're going to be like a metallic, like a silver colour. So I don't know whether to do the discs the same colour or do them a contrasting colour, like either white or black. I don't really know. I think I'll give them a clean up first of all, because they're pretty grooted, and then look at what colour we're going to do them. Also, we've got the grille, which is covered in all the paint. That'll scrub off nice and easily, so that needs to be done in black. And also, we've got our lower bumper here. Started giving it a little bit of gloss black, but just to show you what it was like before. It's just very tired. It's okay, but it's tired. I've sanded it, I've rubbed it down with acetone, but you know, being an old plastic, they just look tired after the time. And rather than try and scrub it up back to black, I'm just going to go over it and give it a zap of gloss black, just to give it a refresh. Okay, so there's the front bumper after a quick lick of gloss black. Nothing special, but you know, it's black and it's shiny, and it's a lot better than it was before. Also done our centre caps for the wheels, so I wasn't too sure what colour to do them, but I figured as the wheels are going to be like a gunmetal colour and the body is obviously Triumph white, which is what we call like an old English white, I'll do the centre caps white. At the end of the day, if I don't like them, I can always go back and repaint them again or buy some new ones or whatever. They did have a lot of old paint on them that was all cracking, and I gave them a wipe down with a wire brush with some acetone and various other products, but very, very difficult to get that old paint off, and due to the shape of them, it's obviously very difficult to get the paint off. So, you know, I've just sprayed over them a little bit. You can see where there's some old paint there, but again, like all my things, it's a little bit shonky, but it'll look good when it's done. You're not going to really look at the centre caps for the wheels too much anyway. So they've had a coat of matte white plastic coat primer, and we will obviously the centre caps are being masked off. That one's probably the worst, and that one's probably the best. And then what we'll do, we'll go over, wait for that to dry, and then we'll go over it with a gloss white. Also my front, into the workshop. Also the front grille as well has had a coat of gloss black. So when all those parts are back on, I think they look pretty cool. It's the thing with cars, you take all the parts apart, you give them all a clean up and a paint, and then when you put it all back together again, it looks awesome. So it's literally the sum of its parts. So yeah, let that paint dry, and then we'll give it some gloss white, and then we'll start to put some of this stuff back on again. The chrome bumpers, I still need to go through and polish those up because they are a little bit pitted and a bit rusty. I'm not too sure what to do with them yet, but I haven't got them here. That's a job for tomorrow. And there we are, nicely finished in gloss, back at home with the car. And whilst there's a different shade of whites, because again the caps are actually a gloss white, whereas the car is more like an antique white, I think actually when they're in situ you won't notice, and they'll actually look pretty good. So we'll stick them in the back of the car for the time being, keep them out of the way, stop them getting scratched, and we'll crack on with our bumpers. Next job now, we can sort these rear lights out. As you can see, they're all present and correct, but they're pretty minging. I've taken all the screws out of them so far, so these bits will just come off now. 3 lenses. So you got screws in the back. 1, 2, 3 for the indicator. 1, 2 for the brake and rear light. And 1, 2 for the reversing lights, and you can see they've got a little lip on them, so they just under and over hook each other. Policia, policia. Pull the screws out, we're giving them a quick soak in some service spray. This stuff's really good actually. No idea, never used it before. Silverhook service spray. I bought it because I didn't have any WD-40 at the shop. But it's really good. If you've got any rusty screws and things, you just throw them in there, squirt a bit on, and it starts bubbling and going really quickly. So give the screws a good soak. I've already taken the liberty of doing one, which is that one, and that's now being attached. And even without the foam rubber gasket on, there's no wobble or anything in it. It's on there nice and rock solid, so no problem. I haven't actually put the indicator, the reversing lamp back in on this one yet, because it's got a small crack in the bottom corner, which I'm going to fix with some super glue tomorrow. Rather than buy a new lens, a little bit of super glue, I can build that up. Super glue is obviously a plastic, it's an acrylate, so when it cures it turns into a plastic. So we can clean that out, get a bit of super glue in there, and that'll be good as new. You can see I've also started putting the trim back on. I've got a little bit of a quandary. The upper and lower trim on the boot there, I've actually got some chrome ones, but the problem is the strips that go down along the side here I've got are black, as are the little corner pieces here. So I figure if I put the chrome ones on, it's going to look a little bit weird having two chrome strips and the rest of them black, so I'm just going to go back with the original black ones that it came with. And to be fair, you know, with a black interior, I think the black actually looks quite cool. So we'll use the black ones, and I'll probably stick the chrome ones on eBay. They're no good to me. Problem I'm having with these, of course, is they don't fit very well, as you can see. When I lay this one flat across the trunk here, down at the front it sticks up in the air, and the other one's the opposite. If I hook it on there, it's got a kink back here which pushes it up into the air. So they've got the little clips that are designed to go underneath that pinch them onto the rails, but even with those they're not staying down. Now looking inside them, there is a load of goo inside them, so I'm guessing in the factory all they did was they shot them full of a load of goo, like silicone sealant or something like that, hammered them on, and then just left them to sort of glue themselves on, if you like. So I'm going to have to do the same. I will put the clips back on, fill it full of goo, hammer it down, and hope it stays down. I'm not sure how I'm going to hold it in place while the goo is going off. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I may have to put some rags on top and put some stones or something on it to weight it. I'm not too sure. The rear two went on okay. I've used a bit of silicone sealant, stuck those on, and I'll give them a little tug tomorrow. If they feel like they're going to fall off, then obviously I'll do it better, but for the time being they seem to be on, so I'll let it cure and I'll try them. Now you're getting the lights back on it, it's actually quite cool. It's actually starting to look like a car now. If I kind of like obscure that side, oh no, it's going to zoom in on my hand now. Yeah, it's starting to look very car-like with the number plate and everything on. It's going to look pretty cool, I think. So yeah, looking forward to that. And I've got to put my bumpers back on as well, which I'll do tomorrow. So they're all freshly sprayed, so I'll get my black plastics back on again, and I'll take my two chrome bumpers down to the workshop tomorrow and see if I can't polish them up as best I can. You know, the chrome pieces that I've got to go on it, the fuel filler flap I need to do as well. I've sanded this down, but you can see obviously where it's pitted here. So I've sanded that nice and flat, so that's nice and smooth now. You know, I'm not going to re-chrome it because, you know, it's just too expensive and it's just not worth doing. So I expect what I'll probably do with that is just spray it silver. I'll probably give it a swipe over with some filler, rub it back to make sure it's nice and flat, prime it, and then I'll just spray it silver. Because like I say, I'm not going to go down the re-chroming route. You know, it's just not worth it. And the bumpers, you know, the bumpers are going to have some pitting and patina on them because you know, I'm going to have to polish them up as best I can, but there isn't really much I can do about that either. So there we go, job for tomorrow either way, and also the wipers as well. Wipers are chrome on this, and they are obviously pitted and patinaed as well. So some bits aren't going to be perfect, but you know, it's an old car. As I've said many times, it's not like I'm doing a concourse restoration here. I'm just trying to make it look nice and tidy and make it look like it's had a bit of a refresh, rather than a full garage, super high cost restoration, which, you know, I ain't doing. So there we go. I'll get these lights sorted out. All we're doing with these lights is we're getting them in a bucket of water, we're getting a scrubbing brush on them, we're scrubbing all the dirt and all the crap out of the inside of them, and then I wet sand the lenses just to shine them up a little bit, because obviously the plastic goes cloudy with age. So we'll give them a wet sand, shine them up, get all the rubbish off them. Get some fresh bulbs in there. We'll give the chrome on that a little polish, because obviously you do see the chrome edge on the lights. So we'll give that a polish up with a wet sand and see how that comes up. And the same thing, give them a really good scrub inside and see how good we can get them to come up. Not that you really see the outside of the lights anyway, because obviously they're recessed in there. You can just see the chrome edge on them. That side is actually okay, but this side is the worst of the two. This is the one I believe had some fire damage at some point, because the wiring loom, if I show you inside with the boot, whichever way it goes, that way. That's my old fuel sender, the one that doesn't work. Can go. This is the wiring loom that goes to the other side, and as you can see, all the wires are molten. And also the number plate on this side of the car was also molten as well. Now because the number plate was molten, I don't think there was actually a fire in the car, because there's nothing really there to catch fire, unless it was a short on the light. But again, a short on a light, is it really going to catch fire? I don't know, I don't think so. Not enough to burn a number plate that's going to sit on the outside. So I think in his workshop he possibly had something near the car which caused a fire. I don't know, either way, you know, all I need to do, I'll just chop that wiring out, resolder that, replace with that wiring when I come to do the lights, and we should be good to go. Have a bit of a clean up inside the boot. I've got a habit of putting things in there like tools, closing it and forgetting all about it, then wondering where the hell my tools are, and find them a week later again. I also found out with the boot, and this is going to sound really, really stupid, you don't have to push the little button to close the boot. All you have to do is lift it up a little bit. Oops. And then it drops down. Ta-da! See, live and learn. Live and learn every day. At some point I will paint the inside of the boot lid as well, but I'll do that by hand, because again, you know, I've already painted the inside of the boot black, so if I want to spray it, I've either got to mask the boot or undo the boot again, get it off, and that's not an easy job to do on your own. You've got to balance it on your head, take it away, respray it, put it back on, and again, you're never going to see it. It's not like it's going to be open in any car shows. This ain't going to any car shows. So I'll paint the inside of the boot by hand, in case you're wondering. Right, anyway, crack on with this light. Okay, so we're back down the workshop today, this time with the chrome bumpers, and as you can see, they're a little bit of a sorry state. This one's got patches of rust on it, some light patina all over, but not too bad, but it's the rust patches that are a bit of a concern. The back bumper isn't actually too bad. That one actually hasn't got any rust on it. It is just patina and cleaning, other than a tiny little bit in the rear corner, but it's the front bumper that is going to be the problem. So we're going to clean it up with some service spray, a bit of 120 sandpaper, a Brillo pad, and some steel wool and a cloth. Basically, we're going to try and get as much of that rust off as we can. It's not going to be easy. We are probably going to take some of the chrome off in places, but if we want to get that rust out, because it's so pitted, I've got no choice. It's either leave it there or give it a light sand. So we're going to give it a light sand. And here you can see it after sanding. It does take some of the chrome off, as you can see in the centre of the picture there, but it does get the worst of the rust off it, so it's a bit of a bittersweet sort of thing. It definitely looks better, but it has clouded some of the chrome in the trouble areas. Okay, so the front bumper is as good as I'm going to be able to get it. There's a lot of rust, a lot of patina on it, and as you saw it last, it's as good as I can get it, I'm afraid. Without completely stripping it and doing something to it like respraying it or rechroming it, which, as I've said, I'm not going to do. This is the rear bumper. This one's actually in much better shape than the front, as you can see. This one has now had the same treatment. Soaking it in our service spray, rubbing it down with steel wool, and then just giving it a towel off, and that's come up quite nicely, so I'm happy with that. We've taken the number plate lights off, which was this little chap here. Unfortunately, both the ends snapped off, so this is bolted in on that hole, and both of the bolts were rusted, and as soon as I applied any kind of torque to them, they just snapped straight through this, which is like a cast zinc or aluminium part. You can see both corners are broken off. So all I've done is drilled a new hole, one there and one there, and the corresponding holes in the bumper, just so we can put a couple of new bolts through it and hold it down. Nice and simple. We've tested the bulbs are okay, which is good after 15 years of being in a barn. We've taken the lenses out, given them a quick polish up with our service spray and some blue paper. Again, tested the bulbs, and we've got the actual little Triumph logo bracket type thing that actually holds the lenses in place. As you can see, like everything else, the chrome is all bubbled on it. It's cleaned up, and it's cleaned up quite nicely. And again, as before, that's about all we're going to do to it, because like I say, it's just not worth trying to go any further with it. If I really wanted it to be top notch, I'd just buy a replacement. But you know, I'm trying to use as much original stuff on this one as I can, and if that means it looks a little bit worn, you know, I'm okay with that. When you start buying new bits for cars, you know, where do you draw the line? You could say, well, you can get a new one for 20 quid, 15 quid, 30 quid, whatever, but all that money adds up, and before you know it, you've spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds on it. So we don't really want to do that. And there we go. And there we go with the bumpers and everything back on. I haven't levelled the side light pods yet on the sides, that's why that side looks a bit lower than that side. Haven't bolted them down, they're literally just attached to the bumper for the time being. Also, I haven't put the two front riggers on, the plastic covers for those two. They're meant to attach up underneath the bonnet, but the studs have snapped, so I'm just going to probably tap a screw through into the bottom and put those on. And obviously it's missing a number plate, but you know. So yeah, that's the bottom trim we painted. That's come out alright. Obviously the bumper is shiny as it's going to get. Like I say, you know, it has got pitting on it. Patina, that's the worst patch, which I've had to rub back a little bit. But you know, it's okay. And then the back. And there we go, so that's the back done. So that's both the lights back on. They've all been cleaned up, all the lenses wet sanded, and the bumpers are back on. And that's all done. So that's our bumpers. Pretty much there. So what's next? So I spent the last few days messing around with the hazards and indicators because they've been an absolute nightmare. I've been swapping out relays, messing around with the wiring, couldn't get the indicators to work, couldn't get the hazard switch to work. Stripped it all down, took it apart, had all the dashboard apart again, pulling all the instruments out. It's been an absolute nightmare. I've been doing it now for about 5 days. But they now work. So all the wiring's right, the relays are right. The problem, it transpired, was at the fuse box. You've got the 3 fuses in there. The bottom fuse, you've got 2 little spades that grab the fuse at either side, and one of the bottom ones had pushed out. When I pushed the fuse in, it pushed the actual spade back out into the back through the bulkhead. You couldn't see it until you popped the fuse out and had a look at it, and you noticed the bottom one was missing. I thought, oh god, so I've been chasing my tail wondering why there's no voltage at the hazard switch, and that was why. So that's good now, so they all work. So all the lights work. I've checked those. The only light I haven't checked yet is the reverse lamp, because I'll get around to it. And I haven't got the bulbs in the reverse lamp yet. I've had to order a new bulb holder. One of my bulb holders was knackered. So I've got 2 bulbs on the way, the bulb holder's on the way. I haven't got the little bulbs for the side lights on the front yet. I'm not sure what size they are. They're very small. So I need to order those. But all the indicators work, the brake lights work, the main lights work. And yeah, the hazards and all the relays work and click and everything, you know, works as it should. So that's a nice thing. So the next job after that will be to do the headlights. I have actually bought the headlights. I bought some replacement headlights. They're just standard 7-inch aftermarket ones with the you know, the xenon bulbs that go in the back rather than the sealed beam units, which everyone knows are crap. It's like holding a candle out in front of you. So they're about the same price as well. So I've replaced those. They're in a box, they're in the workshop. I just haven't got around to getting them on yet. I need to get a couple of the new plastic bowls for the backs of the lights. The previous owner, I keep saying the previous owner, like he's the devil, but he is. So these are the bowls from the last ones, and as you can see, they've been cut out. You know, he's been using an angle grinder in there. They've all been They've all been chiseled up. I've actually checked the wiring for the lights and they do work. I've got the chrome rings and the metal parts to go underneath. It's 2 of those, 2 chrome rings, and again that bowl. I've got 1 metal bowl and 1 plastic bowl, and that one, as you can see, it's got a big rust patch on the top. So a friend of mine's got a load of classic car spare bits, so I'm going to go down and nick 2 of his. Those are the plastic covers for the front riggers. As you can see, they've snapped off here, and actually up inside the bumper where those screws go, they've just rusted and snapped off. So, you know, the bumper will hold itself on perfectly well by the 2 side pods. So I'm just going to drill up through the bottom, tap a screw in, and they'll just sit over the top just as a fascia basically. And I'm also obviously going to have to spray the headlight surrounds as well. I've sanded them all back. They just need spraying in the correct colour. Although in fact, rather than go through the whole hassle of using a proper spray gun, I'll probably just paint them by hand with the same paint, same automotive paint, and then just wet sand them back. That'll be a lot easier, I think, than getting all my spray guns all messy again. Next job again is to have a good tidy up in here, because as you can see, it's become a shit state. It doesn't take very much, does it? When you're working in this space, as I said, it's about 6 feet from wall to wall, and when the car's in here it comes back to here, which leaves me about 10 feet that way. But with all the stuff in here, I've got about 4 cubic feet of space to stand in to actually work on. So space isn't a premium, but you know, again, what can I do? This is the space I've got to work with, so I've just got to work with it. So yeah, lights all good, everything back in. Needs to have another clean up inside. All the dashes back together. I've spent the last hours trying to do that, get that whole damn thing back together again. And obviously the wheels need stripping back, spraying. They're going to have new tyres on anyway, hence why I haven't bothered masking the tyres off for spraying. They're coming off, as you can see, they're all cracked, which is a shame because they're Michelin's and there's loads of tread in them, but they've been on it for years and they're just absolute crap. So the wheels will get a wire brush, we'll spray them in silver. We've got our white caps to go on the top of them, and then with some nice fresh black tyres on, they'll look quite nice. And then get our headlights in, and that'll be the last of the lights done then. Anyway, until next time, as always, thank you very much.